Okay, so number 4 from the chapter 5 review says that you know x plus 2 is a factor of this thing, this f of x thing. So that really means that, and then you have to factor f of x entirely. So that means x minus 2, you could write f of x as, or sorry, not minus 2, x plus 2 times something else. And you get this, right? So equals x cubed minus 5x squared minus 2x plus 24. And the goal is to, well, actually figure out what this is, and then factor it some more if you can. So, well, that really means that to get the part that I'm missing, I could divide both sides by x plus 2. So I really know, what I really want to do is figure out, well, what's this divided by x plus 2? Huh? And then I could fill that in here and then see if I can keep going. So there are a couple ways you could do this problem. One is you could do long division on it, x cubed minus 5x squared minus 2x plus 24, and then put the x plus 2 out here. And that's not going to be too bad to do. It should have a remainder of 0 because it's supposed to factor perfectly. The other thing you could do is synthetic division, because you should have learned in this unit that if you're dividing by x plus 2, it's got to be a single x, no x squareds, no other things. But if it's just x plus some number or x minus some number, you can do synthetic division with it, and this number, the negative version of it, goes right there. So if it was minus 4, then it would just be 4 down here. So I mean, it doesn't matter to me which one you do. I'll work them both out just so you see them. So first I'll do the long division. Okay, so the long division, let's see, we need an x squared here. So then x squared times x is x cubed. X squared times 2 is plus 2x squared. And then if I subtract the second one from the first one, I'm going to get x cubed minus x cubed is 0. Negative 5x squared minus 2x squared is negative 7x squared. And then I'll bring down the next term. So then I've got minus 7x, because negative 7x times x gets me negative 7x squared. And then negative 7x times 2 is minus 14x. And then I got to subtract the second from the first. So that's going to be 0. And then negative 2x minus negative 14x, so plus 14x, will be positive 12x. And then bring down the plus 24. And then if I add 12 here, well, now I've got 12x plus 24. And if I subtract that, then I get 0, which is good because you don't want a remainder. So I know now that this thing should be x squared minus 7x plus 12. But let's say you hate long division. You're going to need to know how to do it anyway for the test. But let's say you didn't want to do long division if you could help it. So if that's the case, you can do synthetic division because it's in the form x minus, probably k is what most textbooks use. So if you're dividing by x minus k, you take the top thing, and you do synthetic division. You use the coefficients here, 1, negative 5, negative 2, 24. And remember, if there was like no x squared term, you'd still have to put a 0 as a placeholder for it. So in this case, there is. So it's 1, negative 5, negative 2, 24. And then k would go here. In this case, it's minus, so that would just be regular k. Since it's plus 2, negative 2 goes on the outside. So when you do synthetic division, the first number always just comes down. Then to get this number, you multiply the negative 2 times 1. So you get negative 2. And then you add down. So that's negative 7. Then you've got negative 2 times negative 7 is positive 14. And then you add down and you get 12. Then you do negative 2 times 12 and you get negative 24, and you add down and you get 0. You might remember that's the remainder. And these guys tell you what the actual division problem gives you. It gives you, you can kind of work your way backwards. It's 12, and then the next term would be the x term, so minus 7x, and then the first term here, the previous term would be 1 power up, x squared. If there was another term in front, then it'd be an x cubed term. Okay, So then that means that, well, either way, now we can fill in that part right there. So what I've got is f of x can be written as x plus 2 times x squared minus 7x plus 12. And then what you have to do is you have to see, can I break that down more? So let's look at x squared minus 7x plus 12. And maybe you're good enough to just do that without needing any extra work. You can just do it in your head. But if you can't, I'll work it out on the side here. I know that it needs to multiply to 1 times 12, and it needs to add to negative 7. So let's see. If it multiplies to a positive but adds to a negative, they both have to be negative. One's going to be 3, one's going to be 4. So let me just rewrite that first term still, x plus 2. And then this, I'll put big parentheses through the whole thing. I'm going to split the middle term. Negative 7x turns into negative 3x minus 4x. So it's x squared minus 3x minus 4x plus 12. And then I'll rewrite x plus 2. These two terms I can factor out an x from, and I get x minus 3. And then if I take out a negative 4, I'll get the same x minus 3 for these two terms. And so then I've got x plus 2. And then I've got x minus 3's minus 4 x minus 3's. So I've got x minus 4 x minus 3's. So here's f of x in fully factored form. Okay, hope that helps a little bit.